This video is sponsored by Bityard. With over 400 cryptocurrencies to choose from on their spot exchange, dozens of USDT pairs for futures trading, perpetual coin futures, trade commodities like gold, silver and oil, Forex, and major indices like Nasdaq. You can buy crypto from Bityard with over 50 different fiat currencies using Visa, MasterCard, Google or Apple Pay. If you like, you can use their copy trade facility, follow other traders who will execute trades on your behalf, or become a copy trader yourself. Sign up between now and the 4th of May to take part in the wallet token airdrop. Further details can be found on my Telegram. Hello everybody, welcome back. We have a little look at Bitcoin and we're going to have a bit of a deeper dive into something I just want to try and put across. So I talk about it on the Patreon and I suppose I allude to it on the videos that I make, but we're going to have a little deeper look into what I think is most likely to take place. Now when we talk about altcoins, it's worth looking at altcoins and maybe even taking some stabs into altcoins during these low levels, because again they are ridiculously low. Not all altcoins is created equal. Some of these are appealing lows, others are probably the precursors to what could be an inevitable death and a listing on Probit. But for the most part I think we're just going to see lower and lower and lower, so that I would suggest only really focusing on Bitcoin in this at this time and incrementally buying back into the zones. Now obviously if you watch my channel you've heard me talk about this before. I sold before the Omicron dump because I saw it coming. It was like deja vu. We've been here before, managed to get out a nice amount of Bitcoin taken out over here, and then I bought back at 40,600, so where we are, whenever we came down to that level initially, and then the last time I bought Bitcoin was 35,000. So I would be looking to buy it around 31,005, 31,003, around those levels. That's where I've got my next buy order, and I still think if we come down to that level we could come down lower. That again, I'm not going to try and get too clever. I want to front run these areas. But that's enough about me and what it is that I've done and what I plan to do. It's very simple stuff. One sell, incremental buys back at lower prices. You can't really go wrong with that. Now the reason I thought we'll do a deeper dive is because some of the things I talk about, especially on the Patreon live streams, is how, not just how correlated crypto is to stock markets, but the reason we're seeing such correlation at the moment. So everyone's saying, but when inflation's supposed to be high, this is supposed to be an inflation hedge. Why aren't we going all the way up? When inflation's reached a new all-time high, but we're going down. It's because the interest rates, the available capital, the ability to borrow at low interest rates has now come to an end. It was in full swing around here after this dump. Full swing. We could borrow with very little repercussion of repayment. And now what's happening is that the hangover started. The sun has risen. It's time to do the walk of shame all the way from your party back home again. And that's where we are right now, despite inflation being high. This is what's happening with stocks. Stocks are getting hit twice as hard because first of all they're suffering from the inflation, which means that people aren't spending, which means poor earnings, which means not as much profit, and then obviously they're suffering in the same way that Bitcoin's doing, which is that the interest rates are being raised, borrowing has more fees attached to it. Only very small. We think about something like over in Russia where their ruble was absolutely annihilated. They raised their interest rates overnight by 10%. Overall within this whole year so far, we're not even halfway through, a 20% raise in their interest rates. Obviously we're not looking to do anything like that, and when I say we're talking about America. So we're on Bloomberg here. I know Bloomberg isn't the be all and end all, but you can find some information there that might end up being quite useful. But again, it's just people wearing shirts and ties and suits with jobs, but they're just opinions, right? So they're just opinions, and at the moment everyone's got their opinion on what's going to take place in the next Fed meeting, right, which takes place between, I think, it says the 3rd and the 4th. So this week they're going to raise interest rates most likely by 50 basis points. Now we've been talking about this for a while. I wanted them to raise it, the first one, by 50 basis points. They chose 0.25. It didn't really touch the sides. They're going to have to go in a little deeper because, like I say, stocks are getting hurt twice as hard, not just by the Federal Reserve monetary policy and the raising of interest rates, but by the fact that inflation hurts companies. Right? You've seen Netflix, you've seen many of these other stocks individually get smacked in the face, and that's because people are unsubscribing. People are watching what they spend. We've got all this expensive petrol as well, or gasoline as you Americans like to call it. But the price of fuel's gone up, right? Massively. So people are watching what they spend. Stocks get hit twice as hard. They've got poor earnings, and they've also got the monetary policy to worry about. So there's only one thing for it. You've got to tackle it head on. So 50 basis points this week is most likely going to happen. Maybe could be even a little higher. It's unlikely though. 50 basis points now, and they think that they'll probably do another one in June. So over the next couple of months, you know, it's still going to be a bit of a sell the rumor, buy the news. So what I'm expecting would be to see a continuing of sell the rumor into the event, buy the news, effectively. You know, the news, even though it means, in theory, the 50 basis point means that it's actually supposed to be a bearish scenario. Markets are pricing it in. Markets are already pricing it in. And again, as soon as that sell the rumor, buy the news event happens, you will then go into another sell the rumor in order to buy the news again in June. So let's have a look at the Nasdaq Bitcoin overlay. Right, this is the nature of the correlation. Right, so you could say that they're correlated, or you could say that these are two charts that effectively go up over time, all the time anyway. There's lots of charts in the world that do that. You know, major tech stocks, huge companies, they generally only go up. And the nature of the Nasdaq is that they only have, the criteria is that you have to be the most successful, largest market cap tech company to even be in it. So if you drop out of that, it's being like relegated to the next division, you know, in football. And then another one will take your place. The more next successful one, they move up into the Nasdaq. It's generally how it works. So generally, it's always designed to only go up. The chart is designed to only generally go up. And this is what I've been trying to put across to people overall. You know, the idea that Bitcoin is going to come down back into its own shadow is very unlikely. The idea is that you incrementally buy back, like I've explained at the beginning of this video and at many of my other videos before. You sell at particular, you know, areas of interest, or especially, like I said, the areas of potential weakness. When I sold around 52 to 54, whatever that was, and then you buy back lower. It's a winning strategy, right? You end up accumulating more Bitcoin, and that's the goal here, to accumulate more Bitcoin. Altcoin trading can come later, when we have criteria that we look for things like alt seasons, and then you basically alternate from your Bitcoin into your altcoins, and vice versa. You make some serious cash that way. But for the moment, it is really just about accumulating that Bitcoin and thinking about it as a trading pair that you can use somewhere down the line to make some serious cash on the altcoins. But altcoins doesn't look you know, particularly interesting, although buying some altcoins at these ridiculously low levels is still a winning strategy for some altcoins, but no altcoin is created equal. Anyway, moving away from the general vibe of the video, which is generally, you know, about, you know, what I think is likely to happen. So we're looking at stocks getting hit harder than Bitcoin. We can see that already, and generally speaking, we can see that with Nasdaq. So the Nasdaq's dropped off way more than Bitcoin. Bitcoin not even reached in this medium line. So I've got the Bitcoin over here with all the noise taken off and this general slope up. And this is from 2012 to current day. And what we see is that, yeah, we've got this bear market, came down to this point here. This is your end of the bear market here. This is your March crash 2020, and this is where we are today. Now, you know, this isn't absolutely gospel dogmatic line that means absolutely everything, but it seems to have some relevance. And if we think about where we're coming down to, this is a monthly candle right now. If we were to dump this month, yeah, we'll be hitting areas between 27, you know, 26, 27. Did it next month? About 28, 29. Remember, that is June. We're talking about June there, right? Remember, June is the next rate hike after this one coming this week. So we're thinking about a sell the rumor, buy the news. We're going to have sell this rumor now. You could say that the rumor is being sold already and the news is going to get bought, and then sell the rumor again and buy the news once again. That next time that we do it could easily bring us down to this 30,000, 28, 29,000 next month. And if we think about that on the Bitcoin chart, we'll take, well, there's no need to take all this noise off. We've got it here, but I'll move it to a weekly so we can see it a little bit clearer. The 28, 29 is this area here. So we found ourselves nice support here before the last big stab up. We found nice support here before the double top. We could easily find ourselves some nice support down here again for the next move up. And again, moving it back to that log scale on the monthly, on the multi-year chart, brings us down to basically that level, 28, 29,000. Now again, you know, why I can hear you in your minds going, well, why are you putting your buy orders at 31,350? That's weird. If you're predicting it to come down lower, why not get it and try and catch it on the absolute low? I'll tell you why. It's because trying to catch the absolute low might not ever happen. If we've seen this already just during this period of sideways accumulation, that the buyers keep stepping in at higher areas and higher areas, surprising us at how much interest is in Bitcoin is still around, despite the chart looking this way and everybody talking like it's going to be, Bitcoin to 12,000, Bitcoin's finished, it's going to zero. Well, yeah, I mean, obviously that anything's possible. Absolutely anything is possible, but it would appear that buyers are stepping in at higher prices. They're not willing to wait for the absolute lows to get hit. And I, even though think that this area is a very significant area of interest between 28 and 29, I'm not going to try and put a buy order down there. That's where everybody's going to have their buy orders, and there's a very good chance that you'll get front run by people like me, or maybe even people front running people like me at 31,350, and I might not even get my buy order filled. So I'm not going to sit around waiting for the absolute low. There's no point in trying to get too clever when we are dealing with an asset that actually just generally goes up all the time anyway, regardless. I made the comparison to what it was like in 2020 or 2019 after the first parabolic move from the bull market, and we were consolidating and people were beating around the bush going, oh, I'm not going to buy at 6,600, you idiot. I'm going to buy at 6,200 and not a penny more, because that's going to be the bottom and I'm going to get the best order ever and I will win. But really, I mean, that's only a couple of % difference to what is going to be somewhere down the line, hundreds if not thousands of % profit down the line. I mean, it's kind of silly if you zoom out and go, oh yeah, sorry, I don't know what I was thinking. It's kind of stupid, wasn't it? I'm trying to get too clever or getting that buy order in. I wish I'd have just bought it at 6,600. It wasn't the perfect, it wasn't the low, but it was good enough. And thank you very much, and good night. And you got yourself a 10x there from that zone. So again, yeah, I am trying to put across to you all that is the best way to interpret a chart that only ever goes up. You want to be a participant in the market. You don't want to try and be the cleverest person in the room, because you might not be. Do you know what I mean? You might end up just being an idiot. But again, I'm not here to tell you what to do, where to buy, or whatever. I'm just telling you what it is that I'm doing and why I would do it and the reasoning for it. And you think long term, and it's not even that long term really. We think about a chart that looks like this over several years. I mean, Jesus, come on now. Tune into Sanity FM and let's think about this realistically. We are approaching a very significant area on a logarithmic scale here over a multi-year period, and also not just on that, we're also approaching it on a weekly on recent price action. It's very, very historically relevant to be thinking about areas of about 28, 29, 30, 31, 32 over the next few months, where the bottom could quite easily be and probably will be. We're talking about the rate hikes that take place this month and next month. Nothing else projected after that. And in a counterintuitive fashion, when we see inflation figures start to come down again, confidence will then build back into the market. Now everyone's thinking, inflation needs to be high in order for Bitcoin to be prosperous, but that's obviously not the case. We can see that's not the case. We know it's not the case, right? I mean, inflation's always going to exist. Between 2 and 2.5% is generally the target for inflation anyway. So that is why things always go up, generally speaking. This is why Bitcoin always goes up and other charts only ever go up, and why people want to invest more than just sitting around with cash in your bank. This is why property goes up. This is why all these things go up. That is the nature of it. Inflation is just a normal part of life. It just seems pretty high at the moment, and they're trying to tackle it, and they need to tackle it because it is a double whammy on the stock market. You need to tackle inflation, which brings stock market down, but when people don't have enough money to spend, and they stop spending, that circulation of cash into the stock market in what would supposed to represent an actual healthy economy, it's not the same. So stocks get hit harder. Bitcoin luckily only gets slapped once, whereas stocks seem to be getting slapped twice for those reasons. Bitcoin doesn't get slapped twice. Bitcoin is effectively an investment tool at this point really now. It's a commodity, if anything else. Can't really be looked at like a stock, more like a commodity, but also it can be completely decoupled from all of that and just looked at individually for what it is, which is effectively, I suppose you can call it a store of value. And I know that idea is for sort of many people unpopular, but depends on your entry point. And again, if you bought at the beginning of this bull market like I did, or even earlier than that, it is a good store of value, let's face it. So I mean, what was it? I bought about 4,000, give or take, overall entry point. It's a decent store of value, you know, decent store of value, just short of 10x from the entry point. That is a decent store of value, let's face it. But the main component to that is obviously time. So what I'm trying to put across here is that things aren't that bad, and the same targets apply, the same targets that I've been applying the entire time. I'm just trying to put it to you in a different way this time, rather than just on your same old linear trading view chart on Bitcoin, trying to dissect the little tiny fragments of price action versus momentum and price and stuff. So putting it to you in this way should hopefully give you another perspective, the same perspective I've been trying to put across. I'm just not very good at communicating it sometimes, and this is something that we should think about, seriously think about, and not try and get too clever on where the bottoms are. The bottoms are in sight. We've got fundamental reasons for that with the Fed over the next couple of months. Yeah, we might see a bit of a pump towards the end of this week. We'll see a dump, then a pump, then a dump again, and then next month we'll see the whole thing take place, and then we'll have to keep our ear to the ground to see what the Fed decide that they want to do moving forward, keeping our eyes on the inflation figures, hoping that they go down. And although for most people will say, well, inflation going down is not supposed to be good, inflation, so long as it's not below zero, it's still good for any investment, generally speaking. But the monetary policy that goes into trying to tackle that inflation to bring it down is what's affecting price at the moment. So the correlation between the stocks and Bitcoin is interesting, but there's different reasons for that correlation. So let's think about this realistically. Let's not get too clever. Let's think about this log scale. Let's think about the linear scale. Let's think about the Fed meetings over the next couple of months and what that means. And let's just think about it realistically and go, right, okay, I'm not going to try and be the cleverest person in the room. I've got my buy orders. I've already fulfilled 2, and I'll be looking to fulfill another one around here. And I'll be looking for this to bottom, preferably, between June and July, and then continue with this accumulation, but go back up to the top of the range, which is around 52. And at some point, maybe towards the end of the year into the 4th quarter, break out new all-time high. Thank you, everybody. Good night. So, like I say, I'm trying to put it into a simple perspective for you here. Trying to crunch down some of the reasons that the price action is behaving this way. There is no bear market for Bitcoin. There is bear market, I suppose, or a pullback, or a consolidation, or a capitulation, or whatever it is that you want to call it, taking place for anything and everything. There's very little things that are going to move outside of this because of the nature of why it's all doing it and why it's all doing it at the same time. We think about Bitcoin bubble popping. We see areas of bubble pops, highly overvalued Bitcoin bubble pops taking place here, 2017. December 2017 bubble pop. Again, at the beginning of the bull market, we went crazy in 2019, bubble pop, and once again over here, bubble pop, and then the money actually flowed out of Bitcoin into altcoins. We can spot tops. All right, and there isn't really, in my opinion, a top around here, and this isn't a bubble pop. I'm not looking for the 85% retracement that some doom boys are projecting. We have to think about what's actually going on in the world right now and why it's doing it, which is why I thought I'd bring all that to your attention. I think we're quite close to the bottom. I think the bottom is in sight, and if it's not already in, it will likely be in over the next couple of months. That doesn't mean we go straight to the moon. We keep our eyes on inflation figures. So long as they're going down, we're going to have less aggressive moves from the Fed. And so long as we get less aggressive moves from the Fed incrementally, it's just going to be a sell the rumor, buy the news, sell the rumor, buy the news, sell the rumor, buy the news. But most likely at some point, probably by summer going into the 3rd and 4th quarter, they will have had enough of all of this, and inflation figures coming down. That's what everyone wants to see. We can carry on as normal, back to business, and also with a nice reduction in price across the board for stocks and for crypto, for people to take part in the market once again, with conviction and confidence. Anyway, that is pretty much all I need to say. Hopefully, there's a lot to get through, I suppose, but I've tried to break it down in the simplest way. I hope you have a nice day, and take it easy.